The ocean is angry, and it's making sure we hear it. Just recently, we've seen Hurricane Melissa rip across Jamaica, flattening homes, tearing up power lines, and leaving scars across the island that will take years to heal. A year before that, Beryl became the earliest Category 5 hurricane in Atlantic history. Then came Helene, which turned parts of the U.S. South into inland seas. If this sounds like a trailer for a disaster movie, well, welcome to real life. Because lately, it feels like the ocean's fighting back. And for once, it's winning. But is it really nature's fury? Or are we, humanity, the villains in our own weather horror story? Let's strip the drama for a second and look at the science. Hurricanes are basically heat engines. They feed on warm ocean water. The hotter the surface, the more energy they gulp, spinning faster and growing stronger. And right now, the world's oceans are practically boiling. NOAA reported record-high sea surface temperatures across the Atlantic and Caribbean for 2 straight years. When ocean temperatures rise, storms don't just form, they supercharge. They grow faster, hit harder, and last longer. Meteorologists now use a phrase that didn't even exist in their vocabulary decades ago: rapid intensification. Melissa is a prime example. Within 48 hours, she went from a Category 1 storm to a monster Category 4 as she churned toward Jamaica. The storm didn't just grow, it exploded. That's the new normal. Warmer water means more fuel and, unfortunately, more destruction. Now, here's the twist. This isn't random. The rise in sea temperatures, melting polar ice, and changing air currents aren't coincidences, they're consequences. We didn't just change the climate, we changed the rules of storms. We've burned fossil fuels like the world's running a cosmic barbecue. We've paved coastlines, deforested buffers, and turned wetlands into parking lots. So now, when the water rises, it has nowhere to go except into homes and highways. Hurricane Helene showed that vividly in 2024. It wasn't just wind. It was the flooding, catastrophic inland floods from Georgia to North Carolina. And when meteorologists ran the models, they found Helene's rainfall was up to 30% heavier because of warming air holding more moisture. That's not Mother Nature being mean. That's physics. So yes, the ocean is fighting back, but only because we picked the fight first. For the Caribbean, hurricanes aren't headlines. They're history repeating itself. But 2025 feels different. Melissa didn't just damage buildings, it crushed economies. Jamaica's infrastructure took a billion-dollar hit. Haiti's fragile recovery was torn apart again. And even Cuba, used to storms, was overwhelmed by back-to-back floods. The cruel irony? The region that contributes the least to global emissions keeps paying the highest price. In Kingston, people called Melissa a storm with no patience. It didn't wait. It didn't wobble. It came straight for the island, as if guided by GPS. Every year, rebuilding gets harder and insurance gets higher, if it exists at all. Some islands now talk about climate refugees, not people crossing borders for opportunity, but people escaping water and wind. If that doesn't scream injustice, what does? Here's where sarcasm meets irony. We build billion-dollar resorts right on hurricane coastlines, then act surprised when the ocean reclaims the land. We build luxury towers beside fragile shorelines, then spend billions more reinforcing them, like toddlers stacking blocks higher each time they fall. It's the illusion of progress, shiny condos, megaports, and cruise docks that hide the growing truth. Every year, storms erase a little more of what we call civilization. Even the U.S., with all its wealth, faces the same reality. After Helene, some small towns in Florida simply didn't rebuild. Insurance companies walked away. The cost wasn't worth the risk. Progress, it seems, is fragile when it's built on sand, literally. Let's dive into what makes modern hurricanes so unhinged. 1. Warmer water equal more power. Each degree of warming adds roughly 5 to 10% more potential energy to a storm. 2. Slower movement. Warming also messes with upper-level winds, so hurricanes stall, dumping more rain in one place. That's what made Harvey, 2017, and Helene, 2024, so devastating. 3. Wider reach. Scientists are noticing something eerie. Hurricanes are drifting farther north and east than ever before. Beryl hit the Caribbean earlier in the season than any storm of its strength on record. Melissa, meanwhile, combined all three: warm waters, sluggish drift, and a massive spread. It wasn't just a storm, it was a climate event. The ocean has become the world's largest mirror, reflecting everything we've done to the atmosphere back at us with interest. Here's the part we rarely talk about: the human cost beyond numbers. When a hurricane wipes out a small island's power grid, it's not just infrastructure. It's education, health, jobs, and dignity. Imagine a child in Jamaica trying to do online classes after Melissa: no Wi-Fi, no lights, no school. That's the long-term damage the world doesn't count in GDP. And yet, we keep measuring recovery by how fast we rebuild, not how well people recover. Helene flooded homes in Georgia that had just been rebuilt from a storm 3 years earlier. Insurance companies called it bad luck. The people called it exhaustion. Climate is the world's most effective chain reaction. When the Caribbean is hit, global trade slows. Ports close, oil refineries halt, tourism crashes. Prices rise in places that didn't feel a drop of rain. Hurricane Beryl alone spiked energy prices and caused a ripple effect in airline costs and shipping delays across the Atlantic. So if you think hurricanes are regional problems, think again. They're global economic earthquakes powered by warm water. We love to think we're in control. We send rockets to Mars, edit genes, and build skyscrapers that touch clouds, but one angry ocean wave can erase all of it in a night. The truth? We're not fighting nature. We're negotiating with it, and we've been terrible negotiators. So what do we do? The answers aren't glamorous. Stop heating the oceans, which means cleaner energy, not wishful thinking. Protect coastlines, restore mangroves, wetlands, coral reefs. They're free defenses. Build smarter, not just stronger. Rebuilding the same way every decade isn't resilience, it's repetition. Share technology. Small islands need early warning systems, data access, and actual global support. Progress isn't about fighting the ocean harder. It's about learning to live with it smarter. Hurricane Melissa wasn't just a storm. It was the ocean's way of saying, I've had enough. Maybe it's time we listen, because the next storm won't care about borders, politics, or GDP. It'll just follow the heat, and we're the ones providing it. So, the next time you hear a storm forming in the Atlantic, remember, it's not just wind and water. It's a message, one we keep ignoring at our own expense. Hey guys, thanks for watching Glow App. Remember to like and subscribe, because every corner of the globe has a story worth telling. Until next time, keep your curiosity in motion.